Okay, thank you so much. So we're going to present in the rough order of the slide. I'm the chair, Mary Nicholas, and I'm delighted to see you all. We're facing the future, but we have to, I think, look at the past. I first started trying to develop computer-assisted language learning in the early 90s, and I was working with a colleague from the department, from the College of Ed Tech, and we developed a program which we called Critics Corner, which was meant for upper level Russian students. It used believe it or not, it used a laser disc, which our language lab doesn't even have anymore. It also was based on for some reason I can't get, there we go. It was based on at the time, very new movie, «Незабытая мелодия для флейты». I still like the movie, but no one would use it for language teaching now. We were, because this was what we had, this is the only laser disc we had in Russian, we were aiming at advanced students because the material seemed to be that level. Now I think most available commercial products are for advanced or intermediate, although lots of students who are novice, which are the students we often get at Lehigh, start trying to look for apps that they can use. Empirical evidence suggests that the very best call or mall apps are the ones that students will actually work with. So I'm going to talk about the ones we have here at Lehigh, including Mondly for computer and mobile app, as well as VR. Our library, without consulting with the language department, decided to invest in Mondly because it offers VR experience. We also, at the Lehigh Library and public libraries in general around the country, offer Mango, so I'll talk a little bit about that. I've made my own Google Forms, and SpeechLink I've used myself, so I'm going to use those too. Mondly is a award-winning current program. On the app, it offers 41 languages. VR has 30, and I've tried both. And as I said, we have VR for our students. I've also asked our students so I have some feedback there. It's very accessible. It's for the student who has no background. You can choose to have your answers written in Cyrillic or English. I'm afraid our students often do choose to have the Latin alphabet, so I don't like it for that. But I've finally learned, this is counterintuitive for me, but I've finally learned that they are in charge. You get instant feedback. It will read to you. You can see that you can make stupid errors and it'll still give you the correct answer and in very nice Russian. The slides I'm showing are from elementary Russian, and so oddly enough, they think начальный этап should be able to say кухня находится там. If you come up with кухня там, which is what we actually teach, at least it doesn't say it's completely wrong. It gives you almost correct, so I like that feature. Unfortunately, there are other features that I don't like. If you're trying to come up with "this is my mother" and you click on "is," it literally gives you this slide that tells you is "я есть," "ты есть," "он есть." And no one has corrected that in the award-winning program, which is very weird. It's successful in, whoops, sorry, it's successful in the fact that if you speak into the microphone, if you say Меня зовут Mary, it even spells Mary right, which I appreciate, and it responds to you and then gives you three possible options. And you can either record your answer and it does a good job understanding what you're saying, or you can press and ask it to input that for you. If you say something different, so I tried just crazily saying, Извините, все очень плохо, it claimed that it just couldn't hear you, which I accept, and again offered you auto play answers. This seems to be a really common approach to give you an array of options, and you can choose from the correct ones. Modly does the same thing with the VR. So you can order a meal from a set menu, of course, and you can say, I want this, but I don't like that. So it keeps you correct by limiting your answers. Unfortunately, there's still problems with it. So if it asks you, какую музыку любите, then your answers, oddly enough, are in the wrong case. And we drill and drill and drill and want our students to say, я люблю классическую, or at least pop musicu, and then this app doesn't allow you to answer our students to answer correctly. Mango, the other option that I already mentioned, which is very popular in libraries, has 71 languages. It's not very colorful. It's not very visual, but it has a nice feature where you can record yourself and then compare your recording to a native speaker's recording. I like that a lot. That's the one feature I did like about Mango. So that would give a student trying to supplement what they do in our classes some good feedback, I think. Speechling, which I like very much, first because it's absolutely free, and it goes from начальный to средний to superior. I couldn't read the things fast enough to get a good grade in superior, so that's really impressive. And another impressive thing is I thought that they give you, again, for absolutely no money on your part, it gives you feedback from a native speaker in any language that you choose. I had a listener, I mean, this is all oral. I had a listener from Ukraine who was listening to my answers. A couple of them were not good enough, even на начальном уровне, so I don't know what I was doing wrong because it was very basic feedback. Then I got отлично on another same recording. So it's not clear how the scale of how you're being graded isn't clear, but it's still free. You can do fun things with it. So there's Victorina, у меня нет парня, because right now in our classes we're doing definitive case. You choose which one is right. You can record yourself for free. It's not bad. This is one of my actual own Google Forms. I tried to do things like this during the pandemic. And so you can see I offered really simple first year umami, umamu, umami, umamie, and then give good feedback, which I typed in. Google Forms, as I'm sure you all know, aren't that hard to create. You can make spot Google Forms and send them to your own students, training them on the very stuff they did wrong in class that day, so I liked it. Приятно было с вами пообщаться. I'm finished with probably more than my 5 minutes. Thank you for listening. I'd like to hear all of you, and then we'll have time for questions or discussions. Our next speaker is Svetlana Dorofeeva from ITMO, Universitet ITMO in St. Petersburg. She's going to be speaking on TuneIn, immersive auditory resources for Russian language learners. unlock the potential of authentic audio, and she's going to introduce strategies for incorporating real-life audio materials. I need this presentation and Svetlana's practical examples and resources. Svetlana, передаю вам слово.
Спасибо большое, Mary. Thank you very much. I will try to share. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. And I'm happy to see all of you. Thank you, Mary, for inviting us. And I'm happy to see my colleague, Maria, from ITMO and from American University joined. Thank you, Maria. So yeah, I would like to share some practices on improving listening skills of our students. And first, I would love to share some statistics which we made with our colleagues. So when we work with first-year students, when they come and join groups of Russian students, so they need to somehow survive this academic journey, being non-native speakers, and after 1 year of learning Russian with B1, they already start exploring all this, like ITMO is technical university, it's like IT, mechanics and optics. So as you can see, like honestly, I can't imagine how would I survive. And I don't know how they are doing it, but they're doing it. And the biggest struggle is listening. 96% of students shared that it's almost impossible for them to survive lectures of Russian professors. And and one of the feedbacks for our course books was that very often the tasks of listening in our books are not that natural. There is no noise as sometimes, and like very often in English course books, everything is perfect and they need like natural environment and they complain on it. And I'm happy to get this feedback. So one of our solutions was to ask their Russian friends to send them more voice messages, because when you have this experience of only like perfectly recorded voice of the speaker, it's like, and when you face these real life voice messages after that, it's really hard. And we are working now on the resource of these voice messages with tasks for this. And it's just this idea to those who have Russian friends, to ask them to send voice messages. Also, I would love to share like the resource. It's like wiki, wiki, which like I've chosen this, for example, like Aleutский язык for us. And here you can listen to the text. For example, this, and you listen to, can you hear? Okay. And you can also like play with the level of the text. You choose this пересказать, and for example, you need to make it like more simple, and then you can listen this version of simple version, or you can make it more complicated, like more scientific level. And you, for example, can read this harder version and listen to more simple version, and then you can explore it like everything below. You can just make a research and listen. I will share this presentation. You can explore it, but it's very convenient that you can play with levels, and every piece of text is provided with sound. Also, it's maybe old idea of recording our students' presentations and discussions, and then to watch maybe in classroom or out of classroom altogether and to discuss, how it was. It's helpful for them always. We also tried to start working on our own podcast because everyone is creating their podcast. We also want to be with everyone. And this is the version of course, it is hard even for the native speaker, to spontaneously speak and to hold people's attention. And we asked ChatGPT to do some first chapters of podcast. So it gives impulses and it's easy. You don't even need to use some special app, just asking to create podcasts. I'm also using this one moment of PR company of our podcast of our university. It's probably more for heritage speakers, but the level is high, but our students, those who are studying with Russian native speakers, they love listening to this podcast about medicine, about regular writing practices, all this. And fashion, I know that we will discuss fashion today. So you can also use later this link. I also wanted to share that I planned when we discussed this in December that we will create already our podcast, but it was just first trial. And our project Poetical Map of the World will probably jump to this podcast universe, and we will share with you. So thank you very much. I didn't control the time. I'm happy to share all of this, and I hope we will discuss it later.
Thank you, Sveta. That was perfect, including the time. So
thank you.
Brilliant. That was really, really nice. So interesting, and I really would love to get a copy of your presentation because those looked like amazing resources that we all need. Thank you so much. It's great to see you again, Maria. I feel like I recognize you from Poetical Mir, Poeticky Mir. Our next presenter from Moscow, and Margarina, with everyone, but especially Lisa with a brand new. I was hoping your most important co-author right now would make an appearance sometime
Of
today.
course, he will after.
Okay, great.
A bit later.
Elizaveta Markova from Smart Russian School in Moscow is going to talk about game-based platforms for teaching Russian online. Games are an excellent way to liven up the classroom, as we know, but what do we do if students are far away, in different time zones? Maybe they're just not that lively that moment. So that's when game-based programs can help us, platforms to help diversify lessons and cover necessary material, even with students who are through the screen. I am really looking forward to Lisa's talk on extensive Russian language teaching materials. I took a lot of notes from Sveta. I'm sure I'll want to do the same with you, Lisa. Thanks for joining us. Даю вам слово.
Спасибо. So let me share it as well. I will show it like this, not the whole screen, so we can look at the apps easily. So we love games. The students love games even more than us. So we need to entertain them as much as we need to teach them. And so why do we need it? Because the games allow us to simplify the complex things, even grammar, not only the vocabulary. and also to repetition. Practice makes perfect, so repetition is also the key, and it makes the lessons interactive, so students are not so bored, not as much as they usually do. So one app that I like very much, and I also used it myself to learn other languages, it's Lingodeer. So why I like it? It has very interactive lessons, small ones, and why is it different from others? It actually has very good grammar focus. There are explanations, like grammar explanations, that you can address anytime you want, and they are pretty good. And I think Russian is Russian English, which is fine with us, but not a lot of apps do have this now. But this one is good. But like as usual, it used to be very open, and also it has offline mode, so you can download everything and practice it offline without any internet, which is also good. But as with all the things now, I think it's more not so free. You need to pay for some things, but it used to be all free, so maybe it goes back to it. The other one, it's Memrise, and this is actually a very good platform. Also used to be very free, but now you have to pay for the subscription. But it's worth it because it has native speaker videos, which you can actually practice and answer the questions and practice the small phrases. Lingodeer doesn't have videos, so this is the downside. Memrise do have this. Other ones, which I will talk about, this one is Learn Russian. It's actually monthly. Mary already told us about this one, so we won't focus on it. But Scripts is the one that I give to my students all the time. This one is good because with Scripts you can practice the Russian alphabet, Cyrillic alphabet, the printed one as well as cursive. So they have like two alphabets that students can practice. They have to write it on the screen with their fingers, so it's not as authentic as it should be, but still it's a good practice. Still they can recognize the letters at least, and we all know that they are scared of the cursive all the time, so they think that it's a disaster. So this one actually lightens up the mood for them. Then there are two sites. Actually, they are not apps, but sites. Time to Speak Russian. This was created by two professors from Moscow State University. And what I like about this one, it has two complete courses. Here, two complete courses for A1 and A2, and they have actually also grammar, which you can practice. So there are very good tables and also the exercises for that. They've correct answers, so the students can actually see how they answered and check themselves. But also they have videos, which I like very much, and the videos with the exercises and the texts. I also showed a couple of them to my students, and they make it like this: Moscow by alphabet. So the first one letter is R, so it's Arbat. They have subtitles, there are texts, so you can choose what you show your students. And also there are the questions to the videos, but it's not A1, it's a little bit higher. Then Rule Speech, also good one, but they ask you to pay the subscription. That's the downside that we need to know about. But the lessons are very colorful, and they have dialogues, they have tests, they have games, and I think it's just $8 a month, so it can be worth it. But what I would like to show you, so the first one is actually the life hack, because we all know Wordwall. But as a person who doesn't have the Wordwall account but still wants to use all the benefits of Wordwall, I have a life hack. So I just type this topic that we need to discuss and like the grammar-based topic. Then I tap the Wordwall just in the Yandex or in the Google, and then the link that you have actually opens up the whole topic of it in the word wall, and you can choose any activity you want to and send it to the students. Usually my students share their screen and they do it themselves. I just watch the progress. So this is actually a very good hack. But the game that I like to do and to play with my students, and actually I played with my friends as well in Russian, but this one we also did in Lehigh a couple of years ago. Students were excited. This actually code names. I'm not sure if anyone knows because it's a pretty famous game as I found out. There are even cards, so it's like a table game, board game, but there are actually a couple of sites. I will show you one. So what is it at code names? It's the game where you separate your students into teams, blue team and red team, and there are 2 spy masters in each team. Then this actually helps students to learn vocabulary, to make associations. For example, you can play it in different ways. So it can be official version. There are actually the versions that you can buy, and these are the cards. Or you can buy you can use it online, or you can create it yourself. You can use even not only the words, you can use even the phrases. So whatever you want to. It actually you can actually separate topics, so you can play with different topics, different themes. It can depend on the level. And this actually helps to expand vocabulary, to make connections to the words, and to think deeply, because it really engages the brain. Even when we play with the friends, it's not so easy as it is at first glance. So let me show you how it actually is done. So for example, this is the site. Here you can choose whichever language, Russian as well. But here, the downside of choosing Russian, you don't control the level of it. So when you use it, you can play it with like friends and relatives. But the one that we need, it's custom. So here you just type the words which you can use. For some reason, it shows just one word. So let me choose Russian here. And when you say go, and this creates the link to the game. And this is the link that you can send to your friends, to your students. And here, let's do, yeah, something a little bit different. Yeah. And here are actually 2 buttons, player and spy master. So this is the link, and this is how all the students will see the game. Everything is gray, but here, this is how 2 people in each team should see it. So one will be the blue teams, one will be the red teams, spy master. So what we need to do, the spy masters, actually, they need to connect some words together. For example, let's see. Yeah, so кресло and stall, they can connect it as, I don't know, maybe. And then they need to say how many words do they connect with this association. For example, мебель, 2. So our students need to find 2 words that are connected to this topic and click on them. If they guess right, the words will become like the color of the team. But here, yeah, but for example, if they decide that it's not stall but organ, and they click on organ, and they decide that it's like the piece of furniture, and click on that, but it becomes the red team's word, so they fail this round, and the turn goes to the red team. Same thing, the red team's spy master needs to connect like the words, he can say like 2, 3, even 1, for example, if nothing works. The words here, the black ones, they are like neutral words. The one in the like, which is black, which is actually the trap. So if somebody clicks on this one, the game ends. So the aim of the game to find all your words and don't press on the opponent's words because you give the point to the other team. So this is actually a
Lisa,
good. Yeah.
Lisa, извини,
Извини.
and I'm afraid they're going to shut our. We have to keep to time just in case they shut us down. So I think maybe we should move to Anastasia's, just because I want to make sure everyone gets to share.
No. This was my last word. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you. I'm impressed. I'm not sure I could even play, let alone win that game, but I'm going to try. Thanks to you. Our next presenter is Anastasia Selivanova, talking about cultural couture. Who doesn't want to learn more about that? Anastasia has done a lot with AI in the classroom, and so I can't wait to hear more about it. Спасибо, Lisa и Anastasia, вам слово.
Hello everyone, I'm excited to share our teaching model called Мир российской моды using the creative prompt approach. This methodology integrates project-based learning with AI tools to enhance heritage language acquisition. Students explore authentic Russian fashion materials while building specialized vocabulary through self-directed learning paths. They develop professional language skills by crafting Russian language AI prompts that generate visual fashion concepts, literally using language to draw their ideas. By following their cultural interests and creating original work, students remain highly engaged throughout the learning process. This model adapts seamlessly to various disciplines by simply changing the materials and vocabulary focus and making it valuable for many language teaching contexts. Our students are heritage Russian speakers and advanced learners ages 19 to 22. They speak Russian fluently, but they often lack professional vocabulary, formal language skills, and a strong connection to modern Russian culture. They also have limited experience using Russian creatively in ways that go beyond everyday conversation. Learning is organized into 4 clear weeks with a structured progression of activities. In week 1, students focus on cultural foundations. They explore authentic Russian fashion texts and videos. Week 2 introduces the contemporary Russian design landscape. Students research modern designers independently and present their findings. They also play the game that is called Guess Who is the Designer. Week 3 covers AI prompt writing and concept development. Students create effective Russian language prompts for AI tools and develop fashion collections inspired by Russian culture, literature, art, traditions, or geography. And week 4 culminates in final presentations with peer feedback. Students present their collections while classmates take on roles of fashion critics and journalists, and they provide feedback using specialized vocabulary in authentic contexts. So this slide outlines the key components of the creative prompt approach. It integrates cultural content, personalized vocabulary, AI creativity, and project presentation, allowing students to actively engage in Russian fashion and language. Through interactive activities, AI prompt writing, and expert role-playing, students gain valuable skills in both language acquisition and professional contexts. So the creative prompt model offers 5 key advantages. First, it enables truly individualized learning. Second, vocabulary acquisition happens naturally in context with terms learned for genuine communication needs. Third, Students establish meaningful cultural connections as their projects directly express their personal heritage links. Fourth, they develop valuable technology skills through AI prompt writing experience. And finally, students gain professional preparation, becoming capable of discussing specialized topics with confidence in authentic situations. So this same approach works seamlessly across disciplines. For literature, students can create visual interpretations of classic texts. Architecture students can visualize building designs with cultural influences. Music students can develop album artwork or concert posters, or business students might create marketing campaigns. The fundamental model remains the same, just change the materials, add vocabulary focus to match your subject area. So the creative prompt approach transforms heritage language learning by combining culture, vocabulary, and technology. Students become active creators instead of passive learners. So they gain both language skills and cultural knowledge while producing meaningful work. So thank you for your attention. I did my best to be to stay within 5 minutes, and now we're ready to move on with our presentations.
Thank you so much. And your timing was perfect. So we still have time for one more presenter. She's very experienced because she was at Lehigh when the pandemic hit, and she went from being in class to being online seamlessly. Fantastic colleague, as they all are. I'm delighted to present Ekaterina Shutenko, who's now at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. She is going to talk about 360 technology, which I can't wait to hear more about. Ekaterina, вам слово.
Спасибо, Mary. Thank you very much for this flattering presentation. I'm excited to be the last presenter of our panel. I think you shared amazing tools, and I hope my tool will also be useful for your classrooms. So in my talk today, I'm going to focus on 360-degree technology for language classroom, which is basically panoramic photos and what you can do with it. So I want us to actually do a very brief demo so you see and understand what I'm talking about. Feel free to scan this QR code if you want to follow along on your smartphone and explore it later, but I'm going to direct us onto the website and briefly show you a tour, a virtual tour that I developed for my students of my wonderful, so deeply loved city of St. Petersburg, where I lived for a few years. So if you're using that presentation for your students, you're free to use it. I created it, and I would be happy if you are able to use it. So you can just use this button of share, and then either email, copy the link, or even share it through a Google Classroom if that's something that you are using. But let me briefly show you how the tour works. So we're going to begin the tour, and you see that it starts just with a text slide that directs the students and sets their expectations. And then we are getting into our beautiful city. So since those are 360 degrees photography, we can move all around. And here I added different tags for my students to explore the landmarks, to read. You can add texts, videos, Google Forms, and the most wonderful feature that I like about it is that you can add narratives that you record yourself. So here you will hear my own recordings. If you want to explore it later, we will not do it right now. So basically, that's the tour that I normally took all of my friends and relatives coming to visit me. And you see that every 3-4 slides, there is a short quiz that checks the understanding, how well the students are listening and reading and checking all those tags that I created for them. And we just keep going and exploring all the beauty of the city. And again, getting to another quiz, a few more pictures, another quiz, and then I have a final open question that I ask my students to just discuss in pairs, or maybe write a short essay, whichever way you prefer to do it. So that's the project that I created, but I would really want to explain a little bit more how you can create your own tours. So the platform that I used for creating this tour is called 360 Schools, and it's very easy to create a free account. You can watch a few tutorials of how to create a tour, which is basically intuitive. You will choose between different slides. You can either choose, as you saw in my tour, a panorama, a text, or a quiz, and then you choose the photos from the platform. So all the photos that you saw, they were already on the platform, and I just collected them. Then I added the tags with the images, videos, texts, and also Google Forms. So if you want to get some responses from your students, maybe a short quiz in a Google form, you can also do that. The most wonderful feature of narration, you record yourself right there in the app, and you add the tag, and your students can listen. So that, goes along with Svetlana's presentation of extra listening practice. And then you share the guide through the Google Classroom or the link. Again, that is just one example of how you can use the platform. You can explore landmarks, museums, cities. You can experience real life scenarios, the authenticity that we often lack in the classroom that you can bring through the 360 experience. And if you have VR, as Mary told us today, that they have access to VR, you can experience 360 in VR. So that same tour that I shared, feel free to take it into VR and explore it with your students. You are free to do that. You can also use it to help your students with vocabulary learning because it's visual, and it helps them enhance those connections. And basically, here are 3 resources where you can access the 360 photos. I used them on the platform, but you can explore others if you have a different project. And you can also take your own 360 photos. If there is something very unique that you want to create, you can use your own smartphone. The quality will not be as high, but that's free. Or you can use a camera, and 360 camera if you have access to that. It's wonderful quality, but those are expensive. And then if you're taking the pictures by yourself, here are 2 apps that I recommend on your smartphone, both iOS and Android, free. So you can explore those. And here are a few options for you to edit the photos. Again, if you're creating your own photos. So here are a few to create. And basically, the goal of my presentation today is to inspire you to, take your classroom outside and show your students the world. And just to remind you that you can turn any idea into an immersive 360 adventure.
Wow. So exciting. I see in the chat people are already asking if they can have access. I think I felt the same thing about all the presentations. I'd like to, if any of you are willing to share, maybe you can add them in the chat, or people can contact you by email if you'd rather do it that way. We have we're actually past our designated time, but they're not closing us down yet. I want to open the floor up to any other questions that people had or comments from yes, someone wants to leave an email and then, or ask you to leave the email if possible so that they can write to you directly in the chat. Do any of the presenters have any questions for other of the presenters, or any of the audience members want to ask directly or through the chat? I think we'd all be happy to answer anything or just discuss. I know I have a I have a question for Katya because I started the session with my own experience, having devoted a lot of time to this, my own app in 1992 and 1993 and all of that. The students were supposed to save their oral responses on floppy disks. So that was a lot of work, and now it's inaccessible. I don't want to say it was worthless, but we all know that developing this kind of material takes a lot of time. It's labor intensive. Do you have a sense of how much time you spent on what looks like a fabulous app?
Maybe when you're doing it for the first time, there is a learning curve, you're learning the platform, you're trying to get the grasp of it. It takes a little bit longer. But I think once you know the components, once you know how to put things together, it's actually not that difficult. If you have a plan. So I sat down, and that was not the first time when I was creating a presentation like that. So I had a plan of what I would like to include, how many slides, the visual slides I would have. I was like, okay, I'll put in around 10 visual slides and maybe 3-4 quizzes. So then recording, basically, those recordings are maybe a minute and a half. The 2 minutes would be the longest. It would take me maybe around an hour and a half to create the whole tour. Yeah. But that is not the first time, because the first time it takes you a little bit longer just to learn how the platform works.
Yeah, the learning curve. Go ahead.
May I disturb you, Katya, when I have struggles with my first time experience?
Sure.
I will need your
Absolutely.
support.
Absolutely.
It's impressive, and honestly, because it's like the end of the year, I'm living in St. Petersburg for several years, and I am tired. I yesterday was in Moscow, and I miss Moscow. But after looking at your presentation, I was like, "Wow, what a beautiful city!" And I'm happy again. Thank you so much.
I agree. Those pictures were fabulous. And all of the material was really impressive. All of the apps are useful. But I still wonder if we're not maybe doing enough together, that we might do more together, because we don't want to, I mean, in 1992, I felt like we were inventing the wheel. And we're like the people I know from Lehigh University now or previously, we're continuing to work with same kinds of students, and maybe we don't share enough of what we do. American Councils of Teachers of Russian does a good job of trying to share resources, and so that's one place maybe we could do more with to share. What does anyone else think? Any other comments or questions?
I think that once we are here, we are doing the sharing, right? And
Yeah.
I'm honestly, so it took me an hour and a half to create that presentation, but I would be absolutely happy if somebody just takes it to the classroom, maybe explores it before the class and takes it to their students and reuses it, and then creates another presentation that other teachers can reuse. Yeah, maybe just, I don't know, sharing through the network and creating some shared resources, just saving time for your own, life and rest and
Yeah, I agree. Tatiana, you have your hand up? You're muted though.
I just wanted to talk a little bit about the 3D museum visits. And I don't know if it's only I who noted that, but I think like a couple of years ago, there were so many resources with 3D visits, but now it's so hard to find. And last summer, I tried to find some museums to visit virtually with 3D panoramas, and it was really, really difficult. If someone is interested, I found the recent the Russian School of Economics students from that school created a project, 3D visits to Vasnitsov Museum. It's a neutral subject which can be explored by every course, and it's still deeply Russian and connected with Russian culture. And I have tried to find someone else, Dostoevsky Museum, Pushkin Museum. I could not. I don't know what happened. I don't know. Have you found the same things, or what? Maybe I just didn't look hard enough.
I think
I
you're
don't,
right.
yeah.
I'm sorry, Mary. I
No,
think
go
you're
ahead,
right
go
because
ahead.
when I was, creating the presentation and collecting the resources, I went through different museums and tried to see if they offer online, 3D visits. There are virtually none. Yeah.
Mhm.
We only, I think, have Russian Museum and the Hermitage which are doing it, but the rest, yeah, I think they were trying when it was like this need during the pandemics, but now I didn't think honestly about it, but I will now go and talk directly to Dostoevsky Museum because they're 5 minutes away from me. And
Yeah, that's a really interesting point
Yeah.
because I hadn't noticed that they had disappeared because I was using them for a while and then I used it. I had my students go through once and then I sort of forgot. I mean, this is another question I wanted to throw out to the whole group. Am I wrong, or I use a lot of different things occasionally, and I sort of you just reminded me that I forgot about virtual museum tours, because I don't think there's any perfect apps. So I find myself looking for new ones and using them partially and then changing. Am I alone in that? Is it more productive to stick with one? What do you think, colleagues?
I think the tricky part about sticking with one is that they keep updating their rules and regulations, right? As Elizaveta was mentioning today, a few years ago, back in the day, that was free and accessible to all of my students or to me as an instructor. And nowadays, I have to pay for this. And I am unable to pay for all the platforms. So I think that pushes us to keep exploring and finding new platforms. And I think we have some favorites, right? Those that maybe we use more often. But I know myself that I just always keep exploring and dropping some that I used before. Like even in the 3D photos, some of the platforms that I showed to you, they were just free half a year ago, and now they're paid.
Yeah, good point. I was,
You know what I would like to suggest? If you use the app Perplexity, it's AI app. If you use it on your phone, I love to use it for my phone and use ChatGPT or other platforms on my computer. But for mobile access, it's excellent because this app gives you sources, and I found that it gives really, really good advices. So it doesn't matter what are you asking, how to find some documents for your, I don't know, house project, or if you are looking for platforms which are free, it's always a good advice. And it gives you sources.
thank you. That's very useful.
Mhm.
Dick Brecht has a comment or question. Dick?
No, I don't. I'm going to make a comment. I'm a very old man, and I love and listening to you just gives me a lot of hope about the future, I might say. Let me give you a very quick perspective, though. In the 1980s, when there was no access to anything around the world, Scola, I don't know any of you know what Scola is. Okay, Scola was started by a priest, Father Lubers, and the Defense Department to set up a major satellite system in Iowa that captured satellites from all over the world. And they planted people all over the world to find materials and, and send them home. And then they put them on satellite. And the reason I'm saying this is because they just closed down and they just sold their whole materials and so on. And people think that's sad. And yeah, it's always sad to see something disappear old, and I have great credentials in that regard. But watching you and watching what you can do with magic in technology, I have grandchildren who help me open my phone. And so this is why it's such a miracle to me. And I just thought that you should hear this from someone who's been around for over 8 decades to say, thank you so much for what you're doing. I am so impressed. I am very grateful. And I know your students and my students' students will be very grateful. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for your words.
Thank you very much. Especially thank you for being someone who's older than I am. I appreciate that. And I not too recently got rid of Scola, my Scola material. And I had forgotten about Scola until now. So yeah, I agree. This is so much better. And yeah, some things we pour our hearts into and then they're no longer needed, or they, as Katya says, they disappear or become prohibitively expensive. Or they upgrade and make it inaccessible. I loved Jamboard and it just disappeared. And I also really got a lot of use out of Flipgrid, and then it changed to Flip, and then it too disappeared. So it's sort of a problem of what we want and need and what we can pay for. Things are always getting better, and obviously we're all really interested in delivering fabulous products to the students and providing them exactly what they need at exactly the time they need it. I think it is getting easier to do that, but we're also competing more with our students. I would have died for some of the apps that our students have at the touch of a finger, but they have a lot of other things that they want to look at or are distracted by. And so I find it hard to get them to engage with stuff that's really great. Like, yeah, you can take a virtual tour of St. Petersburg and oh, they're speaking to you as we watch, and they're sort of, okay, maybe not always as excited as I want them to be, but that we have to keep trying, of course. That's the only way. We have to keep trying to excite them. And they can have conversations with Chat GPT that are way better than they used to be. But I tried to get I promised to share authentic student feedback, and I asked them about the VR, and they said, yeah, that was fun. I asked them about Chat GPT. Yeah, not bad. That's a tough audience. It's a tough audience. So we have to keep trying. And I agree with Dick. I thank all of you for trying and for continuing and for doing stuff that we never even dreamed was possible. your wonderful colleagues, and I too get hope for the future by being with you.
With the
Oh,
reaction of all of you. Tell me a little, oh my goodness. Oh
look
my,
at the future.
a new
Look
Russian
at the
student.
future. Oh my. Alexei, да? Oh, Лиза. Поздравляем. Поздравляем. Вот это
No,
да.
he even sometimes helps me to have a lesson. So he's a great audience, great help.
And
That will be a next
exactly
person.
how old is he today?
So today he's 2 months and 2 weeks.
That's impressive. Even more impressive that you came and talked to us about language technology when you've got so many other obvious and more
No,
interesting
I wouldn't
demands.
miss it. I wouldn't miss it.
Thank you so much. I think this says so much about Lehigh University that in these terrible times we can still teach Russian. They're still supporting Russian. There's still lots of students. My current colleague, Anastasia, has done a fabulous job building on work that Svetlana and Katya and Lisa all did while they were here, thanks to the Fulbright program. I'm cautiously optimistic that we'll be able to continue that too. All is not lost. And this conference gives me so much hope, and I really found our session exciting. We named it Facing the Future. I think we're ready.
There he is.
Yes,
There's the
we are.
future. Tell me, I have a grandson who's 17 looking at colleges. Would you recommend he go to Lehigh at all?
I
Apply?
personally would, of course. And I just, I rushed to this session from another session of admitted students, and I was able to tell them all the things that they could study while at Lehigh, and Russian was a big part of that, of course, but you can come and study it, Russian in context of sociology, anthropology, engineering, art, literature. The sky's the limit, and they can go almost anywhere. And
Wonderful.
so these are good times. Yeah.
Tell me
I
just one
almost,
question.
yeah, go ahead.
Are all of you, what was the reactions in some of your students? Have you talked a little bit about the reaction of your students to the technology? Is it that they're way beyond this, or they really enjoy it in class that you do what you do?
I want to share because I recently finished my other topic that is based on the same model, and they ask me for more. Like they're really
Yeah.
engaged because it's project-based approach and they are creating something using the technology, and it teaches them how to use it for their own benefits. And sometimes when they are struggling with something, they know how to use this technology to overcome the challenges and how to expand their vocabularies. So they offer something new, like we were using just ChatGPT to visualize our creative part, but they say we have Soro AI that can create videos. So they try to bring something personal, and it speaks to them because they have this opportunity to choose what to do, how to do, and how to present it. So they are really engaged. I created a questionnaire just to learn if it's actually like if it's worth all this effort that we put into lesson planning. And like I don't have a big group, but all of them stay on a positive note, like saying yes, we want to continue, and it's a really good like method, or like technologies help them to explore the language. And they are different generation, I would say. They are very young and they were brought in an absolutely different reality. And for them, it's natural to have an iPad and type instead of write cursive. And I think like the finger and the cursive with the app is not really bad option for them, because that's how they grew up and that's how they see the life and learning. So they are, on the other hand, also that the one thing that I've noticed that they are very fast learners, so they can spend hours investigating, exploring, researching. 5 minutes, next, 5 minutes, next. And technology helps them to kind of keep up with the pacing that they have, that they get used to. So
I love it.
we have positive experience.
I love it.
I think that's a great point. And even with, I've taught first year Russian for decades, every semester. And so I have 0 and 0+ students a lot. And the thing that they found exciting, Nastya and I taught a group together, and Nastya took them on, I've forgotten, I think it was when we were studying food, and both Nastya and I took them to virtual restaurants, and they were fascinated, and it really felt real to them because you could walk to virtually walk to the restaurant, and they learned so much more than just food vocabulary, which we were drilling, but also they could see the signs of the stores on the way to the restaurant and see that some of them were written in the Russian Cyrillic alphabet, but some were written in Russian using the Latin alphabet. So there was a restaurant called Restaurants, and that spoke volumes to them. So it's the deep cultural exposure from Southside Bethlehem. That's pretty impressive. I think there are really incredible tools at our fingertips, and that's exciting.
I want to share the experience with all these digital technologies with students. They are like this term we have, digital native, yeah. And I've recently learned that we are those who are not digital native. We are digital immigrants, and they feel like really natural in that environment. And when I share with them that they are digital native and I'm not, and they're proud of themselves to be like providers. So this is the way to share responsibility and to delegate.
Love that idea. I really do love that idea. I want to thank all of my colleagues who agreed to present today. We organized it online. It fell in place in a heartbeat. That's because you are wonderful people at the forefront of your field. I think it's really impressive. I don't want to burst into tears, but I think it's impressive that we all came together today. Several generations. I mean, we're spanning centuries here, and I am so grateful for the opportunity to work with all of you. Thanks for our listeners as well. Thanks for the organizers of the conference in general. We would be lost without you. And we are very, very appreciative of all the work that went into this. Дорогие мои друзья, спасибо огромное, спасибо за все. Я так благодарна.
Спасибо,
Спасибо.
Mary. And I just want to say that you created community. We all who worked with you. It was my dream to see like the faces of those about whom I listen, all these stories, these legends. And thank you, because we are really like strong family. Thank you.
It is, it's true, it's a family. Thank you very much.